Namaskaram. We have gathered here because Taraji's sister is here, and we are so fortunate. Taraji's sister, if we are to introduce her in a regular meeting, I would say she has a PhD in economics, and she was teaching, she was a professor in University of Kerala, all that stuff. But that's one thing. I don't think she bothered so much about it. But she is I don't know whether I should say sannyasini.
Sadhvi.
Sadhvi, that's the right word. So she's a sadhvi, and as far as we are concerned, she is a person who knows a lot about Sanatana Dharma, and she has kindly agreed to give few talks on Sanatana Dharma, which I'm sure all of us would love to hear, because she's a good speaker. She has spoken at one time for about 5 or 10 minutes in a gathering at SM3. Now, we are all so happy that she is here, and she is going to talk to us on a regular basis every Wednesday at 10 a.m. I feel sorry that next week we will not be here, but that's the way life is. So without much ado, I request Sadhvi Umaji to come and talk to us about Sanatana Dharma.
Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavapadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. I bow at the feet of the great Shankara, the repository of sacred scriptures, an abode of immense compassion, who accomplishes the good of the world. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah. Salutations again and again to Lord Shiva in the form of Sri Shankaracharya and Lord Vishnu in the form of Vedavyasa, who were the authors of the Sutra and Bhashya. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Salutation to the lineage starting with Sadashiva, Adi Shankara in the middle, and continuing up to my immediate teacher. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. There is no difference between Guru, Self and God. Obeisance to Lord Dakshinamurti, who is the personification of the Supreme Self that permeates through space. Hari Om to all of you. At the outset, I wish to thank Dr. Reddy for giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts on foundations of Dharma, God, Rebirth and Vedas in the coming weeks with you. I'm in particular thankful to Shamaji and Savitriji who requested me to speak. I'm really delighted to be with all of you. I plan to base these talks on a book written by with the same title by His Holiness Pujya Swami Paramanand Bhartiji, my Guruji. Pujya Swamiji was a thought leader in Vedanta. He has written several other books. He mentioned two of them, Vedanta Prayod and Causality in Science and Vedanta. In his Purvashram, that is before taking sannyas, Swamiji was a well-known scientist. And all his books, including the one which we are going to use here, are full of examples from science. Hence, through these books, Swamiji is able to reach out to the contemporary seekers with the precision of a modern scientist and the knowledge of a traditional Vedantist. I feel blessed for having been able to learn Advaita Vedanta from Pujya Swamiji in person, face to face. With reverence, I wish to prostrate at the holy feet of Pujya Swamiji for initiating me in the Vaidika Parampara of Acharya Shankara. Now coming to the topic which is going to engage us in the coming weeks, we will have to start by understanding what is Dharma and that too, what is God. I'm deliberately saying what is God. The word Dharma comes from the Sanskrit root word Dhri, which means to hold, to preserve, or to maintain. Something which we have to maintain, which we have to preserve. In Vedas and Sanatana Dharma, Dharma also refers to the cosmic law that created the ordered universe from chaos. It also refers to religious and moral laws governing the individual conduct as one of the four components, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. All of us are familiar with this. And it means that for righteous living, ultimately, we need to have a righteous living to attain moksha. Briefly, moksha is, liberation. Liberation from what is not the question. By very fact that we get the knowledge of who we are, we may be surprised to think that we don't know who we are. That's the real thing. We don't know our real nature. We think we are this body. And moksha is realizing our true nature. That is another word, meaning of the word dharma. It is the dharma of the fire to burn. Like that, we have to understand that we are all actually ananda, we are bliss. But something is camouflaging it. The real nature of us is we are full of bliss. Yet there is something which is camouflaging it. What is it? All these are the facts that we are going to talk about in the coming days. So Dharma is one of these components, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And there also this order is very important. Dharma is central. Only by righteous living you can have, earn your wealth, that is Artha, or your even desires, Kama. Bhagavan in Gita also says that Kama along with Dharma only, that also is Bhagavan himself. Similarly, Artha. So, we have to understand that all this that we are going to talk about in the coming days is only meaningful if we first agree with the premise that moksha is our ultimate aim. So, we are assuming that here in this gathering, all of us are interested in that moksha, and then only all this talk or discussion will have any sense. It is said that dharmo rakshati rakshitaha, that is, one who protects dharma is protected by dharma. So only by protecting dharma will I be protected by dharma. It's a very beautiful incident which you are all familiar, I'm sure, in Valmiki Ramayana. When Sri Rama is leaving for the forest, very touching moment. Kausalya Devi, his mother, bids him farewell. What does she say? Yam palesi dharmam tvam dritya cha niyamena cha sarvesh ragavashardula tam dharmas tvam abhirakshatu. What is she saying? O Rama, let that righteousness which you are fostering with courage and discipline, remember, courage and discipline, protect you. Look at the mother with all the pathos of separation from her son for 14 years. What is coming out of her mouth? how does she behave there? No individual can on his own decide what is Dharma. In Sanatana Dharma, what is the Dharma is laid down in Vedas. That is why, although it will come at the end of our discussion, we said God, Rebirth and Vedas. These three constitute the foundations of the Sanatana Dharma. So, though it comes at the end, actually it is the basis of whole Dharma as well as God, everything, whatever we understand is on the basis of Vedas. And why, what are these Vedas? Not only that, Vedas are, called Shruti, that is, it was, by verbal, the transmission, it was handed over from Guru to the Shishya. Not only that, it is heard, Shruti, but it is also understood in popular ways for the common people through the Smritis. Even Bhagavad Gita is considered a Smriti. So we have Manusmriti, which has got the code of laws. So these Smritis, through that the same tenets and practices and what are advocated in the Vedas are passed on to the common man through this. Not only that, Puranas. But 18 Puranas Vedvyasaji has written for the common people, something like, pictorial stories to explain science. The same way, the same very important things which are in technical jargon, common man in the form of stories are told. Then we have the two itihasas, the two epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata. Just now we saw a line from what Kausalya Devi said. In the same way, in Mahabharata and Ramayana, it's epics being here. That also makes us understand that God also incarnates from time to time. Even same God comes in the form of a human being to protect Dharma. What does Bhagavan say in Bhagavad Gita? Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajamya paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthavanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I take birth as a human being from yuga and from yuga to yuga whenever adharma comes. See, we had to kill Ravana, the Kauravas had to be subjugated because they were adharmic. In the same way, Bhagavan takes this. And they are not to be considered as just heroes of a fiction. No heroes of the fiction, we celebrate their birthdays or, and they were never sick in their life. So they were very extraordinary, even though they just took up a human body. There are many lakshanas of incarnations given, I am not going to do that. So, all these also bring up. When we say Shastra, all these will include Vedas, Itihasas, Puranas, Smritis, etc. Now, that brings us to what is God. You see, as I said, we are basing it on the book by Swamiji, and Swamiji starts with this example. What is inertia? Jada. An inert object, whether it is in Shastra or science, in Shastra, an inert object or inert body is one which is activated only by an external force and never by itself. There is no free will. Science also says that inert body is one which continues to stay in a state of rest or of a uniform motion along a straight line. That means it cannot change its direction or speed without the application of external force. Even external force is inert because its point of application, magnitude, direction is to be brought about by some other external, some animator. So that brings us to this, in ordinary parlance, in most of you are familiar with Jada and Chaitanya. Now the animate is Chaitanya, Jada is inert. So even this force is inert. Now the inert and the animate have opposite properties. Now we take a stone. Going on the way, you find a stone. A boy is going on the way, he finds a stone. This boy may pick up the stone and throw. Only then the stone can move. The body, this boy is animate.
this Chaitanya. His body is also inert, but there is some other thing within which gives him that Chaitanya, because of which he has got the free will and he can pick up this stone and throw. So the Jada, the inert body, cannot move on its own. It needs an external force, and not only that, an animate thing to move it. Whereas an animate, when we say something is animate, it means that there is free will and without, it can independently, without any other external force, move it. As I said, the body is also inert, but there is some to one statement that all source of all activity in an inert body is an animate free will. Similarly, behind every activity seen in nature, remember, Prakriti or nature is also inert. Every activity seen in inert nature lies there, behind it lies a soul with free will, and this is God. So we have got a working definition of God. We will further understand it in greater detail. It certainly exists, but not visible. Okay? Is it necessary that whatever is visible is true? Similarly, whatever is not visible, it will be still existing. Now take the example, or famous example of mirage. You know, going in a hot sun day, you go out and what do you find? You see some water at a distance. You know that water doesn't exist because it's a natural law. Because of that heat, there is this phenomenon of a mirage, and you think it is water. So water is seen, but it is not there. It doesn't exist. The opposite case is where certain things are not seen, but they do exist. Intelligence is not seen in that sense. That is why we say that God exists even though not seen. So, simply because God is not seen, He doesn't exist, we cannot see. Now, let us take the example of air. Air is inert, but still it moves. It moves, we say, because from 2 points, distance between 2 places, it is moving. And that first point to the other point, the pressure is different. There could be many other examples or causes because of it. But the ultimate cause for the movement of this air is again some animate thing, some intelligence. And that in our Shastra is called Vayu Devata. Hanumanji is the son of Vayu Devata, Anjana Putra and Vayu Putra. So, now this is the concept. We will come from this to understand what Devatas, who these Devatas are. Because these are the Devatas we talk about in our Shastra. Again, take Prithvi. Prithvi Devata is called Vasundhara. Why? Again Prithvi is inert, but it moves on its axis, it rotates around the sun. Where does this movement come from? So, that Prithvi Devata or Vasundhara is that intelligence principle which is enabling the earth to rotate on its axis or to move around the sun. Therefore, like that, we have many Devatas, we will come to them. But who are these Devatas? They are Jivatmas like us. Because I am going to talk about rebirth, many of these things will become in more detail we can take up. I will provide you some tables also to show, who Devas are. That these Devatas are there in our own bodies also. They are protecting us actually. We will come to those things in the next class. But who are these Devatas? So they are like us only. We have got human body, there are animals, there are plants, but Devatas are having a Sukshma Sharira, that is subtle body. They like to be also invisible, Paroksha Priya we say, Devatas are Paroksha Priya, they want to be invisible. They are Jivas born earlier than human beings and plants and animals. When we study the process of creation, we will understand that. So gods are also born. Who are these? They have done some great good karma because of which they got this body of the Devata. We will come to that, as I said, when we study Rebirth. But here it will suffice us to understand that there is a period of 300 million years which is called a Manvantara. The present Manvantara that we are living in, if you do karma, puja and rituals, we start by saying Vaivasvata Manvantara. The present Manvantara is Vaivasvata Manvantara. The previous Manvantara was Chakshushi Manvantara. And the next one is going to be Savarni Manvantara. There are certain things we should all know actually, yes, practicing Sanatana. So, these 300 million years, we have here been hearing from Savitri Ji, from the Narayani, Srimad Bhagavatam. All our scriptures talk about these things. This process of creation, we have all to understand. Where have we all come from? Where are we going to? We are all very curious and we want to know. So these 300 million years constitute a Manvantara. After these 300 million years, there is a Jala Pralaya. Everything becomes water. And then, again for 300 years, everything is submerged in water. This is the Pralaya, that is this dissolution period, another 300 million. That means 600 million years is this Manvantara in a way, 300 plus 300. 300 of creation and 300. So these 600 million years are very similar to the Cambrian age. Fossils are found only up to this 600 million years back. You know, this corroborates certain things. This is what is called the Cambrian age in the sciences, we understand. Now, in each Manvantara, a new batch of Devatas take their responsibility. Yama, not god of death, Indra, the god of all the gods, Brihaspati, all these Devatas they are also only the names of the positions they hold, like Prime Minister of India, President. You know, different people become Prime Minister or President. In the same way, in each Manvantara, different individuals who have qualified to become Yama or Indra, they get that particular position. So for 300 million years they continue as Yama or Indra, whichever position they have got. And after 100 million years they also disappear. What happens? If you've heard in Bhagavad Gita, even after, see these people, for example in Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that Mahabali was doing 100 Ashwamedha Yaga. Why? He wanted to become Indra. So 100 Ashwamedha Yagam if you do, you qualify to become an Adhikari to take up the position of Indra. Now, 100th Yagam when he was doing, Mahabali, this Vamana Avatara, Bhagavan comes as Vamana and asks him, he puts this thing and says, give me 2 feet of this thing, small feet again. Whatever it is, different interpretations are given, his ahankara had to be subdued. But Mahabali's, Vamanaji told him that, you get the benefit of your 100th Ashwamedha Yaga also. So he could compete to become Indra. So that was not anyway defeated. Why I am saying it is that there are different qualifications for the different positions that they get. But what is it? As we understand from Bhagavad Gita, Shine Punyam Atiloke Vishanti. After all the punya is over, because there is a limited amount of punya they have earned by this action, by the karma they have done, when that is over, they again have to come back to Bhuyokam and have it. But they will get a better birth because they have done. You see, as I said I don't want to prejudge things what are going to be talked about now on rebirth. But still, they have done Satkarma, so they have become these Devatas. And there is a limitation. That is why Sakama Karma, they had desires. It is limited. Dulena Kyavarat Karma, Buddhi Yoga, Dhananjaya Bhagavan tells in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, this doing the Sakama Karma is inferior to doing karma without any desire. That is, I just do karma for the sake of whatever it may be, Loka Sankarma, for goodness of others. So therefore, even though it is, we should not medicate karma. They have done sat karma, no? That we cannot believe. We have to go beyond, transcend sattva, raja, tama, guna. Finally, nirvanto hima abhav sukham mantatram uchyate. You don't go for nirguna, you be nirguna, he says. But it is not something very easy. So at least in the first step, do good karma. At least become sattvic. Then you qualify to be further, to go beyond the three gunas. Now, a slight diversion I will also mention here. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a big sabha of Janaka Maharaja, where all great Pandits come, and Yajnavalkya Maharshi is also there. So each one is asking them questions. And one question, Kabandhi, again they are also great Vidwans, asks him about how many Devatas are there. Then Yajnavalkya Maharshi says there are 33 Devatas. We hear 33 crores of Devatas also. Because there are Aishwarya of each Devata. They are very powerful people, Devatas. Huh? So, Ashtavasu, there are 33 Devata. How 8 Vasus are there. Who are these Vasus? The 5 Panchabhutas, fire, earth, air, sky, sun. Which is Akasha, Prithvi, Vayu, Jala, and all that 5 Panchabhutas. Sun, Surya, heaven, Swarga, Soma, that is Chandra, and the stars. Some say Dhruva, whatever it is, 8 Vasus are there. And 11 Rudras. That is, Rudra also refers to Shiva. The Rudras are Kapali, Pingala, Bhima, Virupaksha, Vilohita, Ajesha, Shasana, Shasta, Shambhu, Chanda, and Dhruva. Then 12 Adityas are there. Vivaswan or Vivaswan, Aryaman, Tvashta, Savitra, Bhaga, Dhata, Mitra, Varuna, Amsha, Pushan, Indra, Vishnu. And Indra and Prajapati. So, in all they come to 33 gods, and then as I said, they can multiply to 33 crores, taking their yogas or what we call siddhis. Now, I'll take up some questions, and this will probably inspire you to ask more questions. That will be my way of proceeding with it, because we will ultimately take up. Here we are talking of God with form, but ultimately God is Nirguna, and we call Brahman, the primordial cause, the supreme God of gods. And it is in neuter gender, it, Brahman, which is formless. That is the ultimate, and that is what you are also, is what our Shastra tells. But I thought I will postpone it to tomorrow, next class, when we meet here together. But in the meantime, I thought I'll take up some questions on which Swamiji has, in his lectures, many people must have raised these questions. Some answers have been given. As I said, it is only to begin with, to see that you may have questions, and we can proceed with some of those as part of our discussion. Time-wise, we have, I think, another half an hour. We can go to maybe less, whatever. So let us take up this first question. Why should one worship gods, Devatas? They are very powerful. They fulfill our desires. As I said, Kamya Karma. Right now we are talking about Kamya Karma. This with desires. If you have desires, they can fulfill your desires. And Shastra tells us that do this puja to fulfill this desire, and so on. And it's like, one pleases one's bosses to get some increase in one's pay or go up in, you can please your the Devata. Now, people may say, the boss is at least seen to me, God is not seen, Devatas are not seen, how do I know they are pleased? The answer is, why do people continue to do it? They have got some results. Of course, there is a big fear in Kamya Karma that if I desire and God doesn't fulfill, then I say, oh, he doesn't exist, and I become a Nirishwaravat. Actually, this whole discussion on God is necessary, because whether it is those Nastikas, that is, who don't believe in God, or whether it is the believers, both are little confused, including all of us. Who God is, what God is. So that is why this discussion becomes important to clarify to our own selves what God is. Now, therefore, one worships God because he fulfills, the Devatas fulfill our desires, and the proof is that many people's desires have been fulfilled. And this brings us to an interesting question again. What is the relationship between these worshipful activities that we do and the fulfillment of the desire? What is the connection? Swamiji gives one example. You will be able to multiply these examples. I can also give you many more. But just to make the point, how does God work? It is not that He comes directly there to do the puja or take up things, and in some cases He has also come to Kuru Rama, He came, to bless her. But generally, how does He work? The way God works is through the intelligence. He gives us a good buddhi, the right buddhi, what to do. Because when we pray to God, the buddhi becomes more pure. Chitta Shuddhi, we say. The more and more the buddhi is pure, that it's not thinking of only the worldly desires and all. Because somewhere mind is now getting channelized to God. The advantage is we are able to receive the right thoughts. Now, the example given here in the book is about a lady who was in the final stages of pregnancy. She developed a severe headache. So they took her to the doctor. All doctors were little worried to give her strong medicines, lest the fetus is affected. So, first they took her to one doctor, he gave some medicine, it didn't work. Took her to another doctor, that also didn't work. Then somebody said, please pray to the local deity, whoever the deity was, Vaidyanatha or whatever. You pray to him, Bhagavan will help you. They did pray and wow. Next day again went to another doctor. He said, please open your mouth. He found a decayed tooth and just removed it. Now what is the relationship? You see, what happens is the right time, what is to be done, we get the right suggestion from Bhagavan. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamasuta Prana Apana Samayukta Pachamyanyam Chaturya. Our digestion itself, Bhagavan is, how it exactly happens, however much medical science may have improved, finally, He only does it. In the same way, He says, forgetfulness, memory, everything I am doing for you. So that Bhagavan, because He is within all of us, so the intelligence, as I said, everything is camouflage. Bhagavan is camouflage. We are camouflaging Him with various things, so we don't see. But the more of prayer and activities related to God that we are with, our buddhi becomes more pure. And we are able to receive the right thoughts at the right moment and what to do. This is how the process of the relationship between. See, again in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says in the 10th chapter, 9th shloka, 10th shloka, 11th shloka, Machchitta Madgada Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam, Kathayantascha Mam Nityam Tushyanticha Ramanticha. One who is constantly talking about me, telling others, Kathayanti, Parasparam, he is telling Tushyanti, he is very content and happy about it. Tesham, such a person, Satata Yuktanam, such people who are with all these ideas and who Bhajatam Priti Purvakam, who pray to me, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Yena Mam Upayanti, I give them Buddhi Yoga through which they can get me, Prapnil. So, that is Bhagavan's grace, we say. More and more we are able to think of God and not of the worldly things or our desires. To that extent, our buddhi becomes more and more pure and we are able to receive the right thoughts from Bhagavan. Now, another question. And now at any time, any of you can ask the questions also, okay? How to know what form of puja is necessary for the fulfillment of a specific desire? You will have to consult a specialist who knows the Vedas very well, the Shastras very well, Pandits will be able to tell. But one thing is there, for obtaining a favor or for mitigation of our pain, that is also through pavam, the sins, to get away from them, the bad karma that we have done. 3 things are there in any puja: upavasa, dana and japa. That is, you have to fast. Different puja, different type of fasting is advocated. Dana, you have to give charity, and japa. You see, upavasa, if you are diabetic or some health problems, you may not be able to do upavasa fasting. Dana, only person who has got enough wealth or income can do that. But japa, everybody can do. That is why this japa is very, very important to reduce all our bad karma. Whatever sufferings you have, so only a major remedy is japa. And therefore, it is how any puja which will require you to do japa will help you to fulfill your please.
When we do japas, our mind wanders. How do we control that?
Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan tells, Arjuna says, Chanchalam hi manak Krishna, pramati balavadridam. And mind is so fickle. How to control? Asamshayam Maha, Bhagavan himself says, no doubt about it. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha krityate. What is a constant practice? This we call nishtha. If I have decided every morning I have to set up this much time I have to spend on Nama Japa or whatever meditation. Meditation is the next step. First, at least our mind should get more and more near thoughts about God. Otherwise, worldly things will, samsara, be there. And vairagya. What is vairagya? Desirelessness. In this world, and some people have desired to go to Swargaloka and all, not wrong, but you are inferior. If you will have that desire also, your mind will not concentrate. But Shastra allows you to. If you go on following the practices, for different people, different things have been advocated. Till we have not got this ahankara about the body, and the body, and the body, and a great pride about this body. Till we have that, we have to do karma, which is prescribed for us. It can be, Vedic karma, it can be japa, all this is part of karma. And dhyana, yes, but we will be able to reach to that dhyana more and more if we have been able to first take our mind to God more, thinking about God. And vairagyam, that means I have to give up certain things, I should give up the habit of sleeping till 8 o'clock in the bed. The first step. That itself is a desire, no? So, like that, the desires one by one. Similarly, yuktahara viharasya, you must have proper food. If you overeat, you will be sleepy. If you don't eat also, you will feel very weak. So you must yuktahara. Neither too sleeping too much, not sleeping too little. Yuktahara, swapna, bodha, everything should be measured. If you have that kind of a situation, then the advantage is your body will be, under your control. And if the body is under control, mind will also be under control. And the buddhi has to be on God. Does it satisfy you? Yes. Any other question related with this? Because our idea is to talk to each other. I don't want it to be only a monologue. So you're most welcome to interrupt me now that I'm talking about this question. As I said, I just wanted to motivate you to ask questions. Now, you see, we have these gods, devatas, who are in the Vedas. As I said, Indra, Yama, they are all Vedic gods. Then Pauranic gods are there, from the Puranas. They are also all the same, in a more pictorial form those gods are told to us. And I will come to the point why it is also important. Then we have Rama, Lakshmana, they can all become our Ishtadevas. So the Nama is greater than even the Nami. I've got so many stories to tell you that, even in Ramayana, Even the Setu, Rama Setu, when it was being made. With Ramanama, when they put the Ramanama on a stone and dropped it, it would go sink. That means it would stay stable. But Sri Rama himself, when he put the stone, it was floating. So he said, what is the secret? So his name is Manisha. That is why from the Sthula to Sukshma, always going from the gross to the subtle, the name is more subtle than the gross body. But it is not wrong to think of the body of Rama, because at least mind is moving away from other things which are distracting you gradually. So, Puranic gods you have got, and you have got incarnations, and you have the Devatas and the Vedas. They are great men and they do not suffer from any disease, the avatars. Now, there are doubts about puja people. Should one worship only one god or many gods? Or one clearly says you can, if you like, worship one god, if you like. There are many great rishis who worship only one god. There are many great rishis who also multiple gods. In Bhagavad Gita also we have so many, I said, 33 devatas or any other devata you want, you can. And as I said, for example, Ganesha, Lalita, Devi, you do all these Sahasranam. So that brings us to another question about idol worship. This big question many people have, should idol be worshipped? There's a very good incident, Lakshmi, my sister, reminded me of this. Swami Vivekananda, he went to Khetri. The Khetri Maharaja said, Swamiji, what is this idol worship and all? Swamiji, what he did, he said, told the minister, please bring one picture of your Maharaja. He said, spit on it. Maharaja's photo? How can you spit on it? So it's only photo, no? It's the image. Maharaja is there. Maharaja understood. So we are not seeing Ganesha or Devi. We are not seeing them as brind, matti, clay. We are seeing Chinmay. We are seeing the Chaitanya in it, not the Jadatva. We are not seeing the body. Reminding us, that is why when we go to a temple also, what we do? We close our eyes and think in front of the idol. That means that idol we are taking within us. So ultimately the sukshma, everything is within us in a subtle way. We ourselves are habituated. We've forgotten our nature really, ultimately. So, for example, Lalita Udyat Bhanu Sahasrava Chaturbahu Samandita Raga Swarupa Pashadya Krodhakaram Kushojala. She has 4 hands. What are the 4 hands? One hand she has, Chaturbahu Samandita, Raga Swarupa Pashadya. One hand, attachment. What is the symbol? Rope. That pasha. She binds us to the samsara. And Paramacharya Maha Perivar, he says, Kanchi, Chandrasekhara Saraswati Swami, who is called Maha Perivar, he was very great sannyasi and Matha head in Kanchipuram. Perivar has said, what you should do. She is binding you to the samsara with that pasha. Untie it, tie it on her. Similarly, Raga Swarupa Pashadya Krodhakaran Ankushojala. Ankusha is a weapon through which we keep the elephant under control. Mahaperival says, what you do, take that Ankusha of Devi, try to kill the Krodha in you. That stands in a big way in all our thinking and praying, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Shadripus that we have. To get over that itself is a big problem. Only then we can get Chitta Shuddhi. So, Ankusha in one hand she has. So, when we see the idol, we are remembering these qualities. What are the other 2 things she has? Manorupi Ikshukodanda. In her hand she has a sugar cane. Ikshukodanda. And what is it? It's very sweet. And instead of, that is the samsara, you think it's very sweet, but there are bitterness also. Remember, take both similarly. Ikshukodanda. That manas you have to take to Parati. Then Panchatanmatra Sayaka. In another hand, she has 5 arrows, Bana. What is it? Panchatanma. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. These are 5 things which are binding us to samsara. Touch, eyesight. We are wanting to see only Vishayas. We don't want to see, as Arjuna asked, show me your Vishwarupa Darshana. Are we asking for that? We get scared. We want only objects. So, 5 Shabda Sparsha. The Shabda is that sound, each, the story in Viveka Chudamani is given that deer is caught because it is the sound, they play the flute or whatever it is to attract it and then kill it. Fish, give it food. That is taste, rasa. And then what is the other one? Shabda, Sparsha. Sparsha. Elephant is caught by giving another she-elephant. So it comes for that and is caught. Rupa, that I told you this thing. This what is that beetle, when the comes to the flower and then it take one to take that parag that is from the flower and it is caught. So it is caught by the rupa. Rasa Gandha. Gandha, the smell. Who is Gandha is the thing by which this beetle is moving towards the flower. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Rasa I told you about the way. So these 5 things are binding us to the samsara. So all these symbols over as Lalita Devi. Again Ganesha. Why he has an elephant face? Why has one tusk? Each of these can be, different people are given different. One I was looking through. Gana. He is the Lord of Wisdom anyway. The collective form. This is the Gana. Elephant head signifies authority, endurance, strength and courage. Mouse as a vehicle. Imagine such a big stomach and all sitting on a small mouse. So, just like a mantra can cut through the sheets of ignorance. So different interpretations can be given. Any one of them which appeals to us can help us in our dhyana. If we, that is our Ishta Devata, we can think about that Ishta Devata and try to move forward by making our mind more calm. Now, any more questions you have? These are some of the questions that I was looking at. Some people say, see, devatas are not jealous of each other. So if you are praying to one devata, we need not be afraid that our other devata will come and make our life miserable. Nothing like that. Similarly, another thing, this is important, whether this pronunciation. Many a times we make pronunciation in our when we are saying a mantra or a shloka. You see, mantras, particularly of the Vedas, the whole meaning may change by sometimes the sound. That is why it is to be learned properly. For example, there is a story that, one particular person was praying to Indra, wanted to kill Indra, but actually he said Tvashta and he pronounced it in such a way, the sound was such that it meant that I may be killed by my Indra. Opposite meaning comes. But we need not be afraid of God. God is not somebody who we need to be afraid of. He loves, is full of compassion. But it shows our Shraddha. So we should not have asraddha. We should not make mistakes. We should try our best to not make a mistake. But if our bhakti is really that, our Shraddha is very much to God, and with Him, surely He will excuse. That's why we say, Aparada Kshama Sutram, at the end of it, please, whatever mistakes I had made in my pronunciation, please excuse me, we say. So that's not a very big issue in that sense. But definitely Sakama Karma, if you want the right results, it has to be pronounced. That is why we need experts to help us, and only those who know it, how it to be done, should do it. Other than that, shloka doesn't mean that we have to utter shlokas wrongly. We should definitely, another thing is we should try to understand the meaning as far as possible. Otherwise, it is said in Nyaska Nirukta that it is like the donkey carrying diamond, it doesn't know the value. So it should not become like that. We should try to understand at least what we are trying to do, in what way we are praying. Otherwise, take the name of Rama. What Ra and Vama means, that is even Mara is Valmiki said, Rama, we could write the Ramayana. So these are some of the things which I want to share with you today. In our next session, I thought we will go into this one God. And maybe one of these days we will also look into the Srishti Kriya, how creation takes place. That's important. That's how we can also understand rebirth better. So I would like to conclude here. Otherwise, if there are questions, we have a few more minutes, I think. You can give your comments also. No problem. If it is so, I think unless Dr. Reddy wants to say something.
Not really.
So we may conclude here today.
Sure.
I wish people ask questions, because that way we will have a dialogue. And probably the difficulty is to ask the first question.
That's why I tried to give many questions so that but take your own time. No, it's not to
Now
just
people say he's a God-fearing guy. Just now you said you don't fear God. Why do you say that?
God fearing is okay, but in the sense that if you only think of fearing, he is also compassionate. Remember, if we are having love towards him, he is very compassionate.
Is not the usage God-fearing coming from Semitic religions?
Maybe. Generally be in our Karuna Maya, for everything we are saying Karuna, no? Could be that. Another thing is about this puja, this upacharas we do, no? What is the meaning of it, how we do? We have 64 upacharas, 16 upacharas, 8 upacharas. What we know, just if a guest comes to our house, we want to take care of them. Because of our affection for them, we offer them a seat, we sit comfortably. This is what we do in a puja also. We offer a asana to the God. Then we offer, them first give them bath, abhishekam, and then give them good clothes, and then, make their life comfortable. What sweets or they like, we'll offer them that. So this is what these upacharas are. There can be 64 upacharas, detail small things, We give tambulam, that is the bitter leaf, and we give coconut, we offer this, we offer that. If we love somebody, we want to give them, that relationship. That is why this relationship with God, when it is intense, I want to share everything with God. For that matter, even if I'm angry with God, I can be angry. At least I'll remember him, We have so many cases of lived in hearing in Narayana also, that Bhagavan Shishupala or somebody goes on cursing, telling all bad words about it. And even if you are angry with Sri Ramakrishna will say, if you are angry, try to give the opposite feeling in you. Have some kind thoughts about the good things about that person, you remember, you don't have anger. Things like that. But I'm sure you will get warm up and yes, please.
Yeah. So somewhere in my hearings about Satyanarayana Puja, I was struck by some statements saying that God actually punishes if you don't do this or that, something like that.
In some cases that are given, no doubt.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but I
No, I don't remember when I read Satyanarayana. I used to do Satyanarayana Katha every Paurnami. I don't remember it, but there could be some. This is just to inculcate a little more Shraddha in you. For Shama also the same thing I would like to say. Shraddha, if you may, he said, if you don't do it like that, But generally, see, if you are looking for results, also, be meticulous about your thing. So that is why in Kamya Karma, as I said, meticulousness is important. But in the other, the bhakti part is equally important. So message is, bhakti is ultimately, this affection for God. That way, that is why Nirguna, we are going to talk about Nirguna this thing later, but in the 12th chapter, Bhagavan tells Arjuna, Klesho adhikarat tesham, abjektam sakta chetasam. It's very difficult to concentrate on formless things, to pray. So it's better you pray to me with form, so long as you are not. That is exactly till we have this Deha Abhimana, that is, I am this body we have. All these, we cannot suddenly say, I can, practice this, practice that. Start small. So maybe even to just like we tell children, no, if you do this, that will happen. We will take it in that spirit. That ultimately is compassion.
What I think he's referring to is in the Kadai, they say if you don't do this rightly, you will be punished. And in the story itself, she loses her husband or the ship goes or, those kind of things are written. So what he's saying is, are we subjected to punishment if we do something wrong? That's how it is depicted in the story of Satyanarayana Katha. So, or other Kadai, to make sure that we follow the things, like they will say, give prasadam to everybody. After this, everybody must get prasadam. Why? Because we want to say, give prasadam to everybody. If we don't say that, we may say, we don't have to give to everybody. But there it is specifically written, give to everybody that prasadam, the last bit also. So that is what he is referring to, if you could highlight on that.
No, the point is still the same. These are only to make us, conscious that we should have Shraddha. Because maybe through this kind of chiding, we will be a little more careful, and we should be careful, no doubt about it. But in spite of all this, for some reason something happens, I'm not able to, we will at least tell God, please excuse me, and He will excuse. If we say it from the heart. It's very difficult to, we may say on my side, but our mind may be still wandering. All this is there, no doubt. So, scripture has its own way of, making us little alert, and we have to do this. As I see that, it's like a child is being grown. Over some time, one automatically transcends these barriers and starts concentrating, because God is someone who really means something to you, then things change. That's how I see it. As if I think about it more and something else comes, I'll definitely reflect on it a little more.
So it's probably to direct the person to the right proper path.
Naturally, and it is important. One is not saying, because it should not be asraddha. Shraddha means total faith, is not just superstition. That's another thing. God is not our superstition or imagination of a tribal, uncivilized person. No. God is very much a living entity, and for us very important. And because Vedas talk about it.
So the main message in what Dr. Venkatesh says, there has to be bhakti and shraddha. In the entire story of Satyanarayana Puja, it is all about bhakti and shraddha. Shraddhava bhakti. So that is the idea. Not so much the storyline, but the Lord is telling that Shraddha and Bhakti as a part of it. But for some people it becomes a fear. Oh, did I do this? Did I do that?
No, but that may also prompt them to become more alert and do it more.
Exactly.
To that extent, it is to be
Even
taken.
that fear is very more alert. More alert, and that Shraddha.
Shraddha.
Is
Absolutely.
so. But ultimately, the entire story of Satyanarayana Katha, Bhakti and Shraddha are the two elements they are trying to tell us. And sometimes it really goes to the heart of people when the story is presented in this fashion.
Yes.
And they don't even question it. But that's okay. But on the other hand, intellectuals who think about it, yes, Lord is telling. Bhakti and Shraddha is there. It doesn't matter who it is, even if you are a yogi, Bhakti and Shraddha is. Sri Ramakrishna emphasized that Bhakti and Shraddha all the time. And so that is the whole idea. For anybody at any stage, those things are needed. to make progress in the spiritual world.
Absolutely.
If you talk of Ramana Maharshi, very important, Bhakti and Sraddha. He accuses Ramanacha Shiva, you did this, you did that, and you deceived me with this, etc. In that Arunachala, Akshara Marimala, there are many things,
Absolutely.
but again they are not literal. It is a question of the devotee expressing his wonderful love, respect, and sometimes even accuses the other. So, but all comes down to that bhakti, the total devotion, ananya bhakti. And ananyas chaturayento mam vedanakari vasti. Bhagavad Gita, very important shloka. And there is a story behind it. There is a story behind that shloka, ananyas chaturayento mam. So, where the Lord, he discovered this bhakta, his name was some Shastri, but it was one very great devotee Buddhist. Very poor people. And once they went through a period when they could not get a morsel of food, in spite of all the great scholarliness of this person. He was disgusted. So on that shloka,
Okay. In his, then he comes and corrects.
so he scratches.
Right.
This is no good. He's not doing anything. I have faith in Allah. And so when he is out, so God comes in the form of a kid, as with firewood, some supplies and everything. And this lady was very happy to see that. And who sent this? Oh, Appa sent me this. And then when he turned this other way, she saw scratches on the back. And what are all those scratches? You see, Appa got angry and,
Discretion.
did that to me. And then when the husband comes back and talks to the wife, where did all this come from? It seems you sent it. I sent it. And then she tells the story. And so he relates the scratch on the boy.
To his cutting.
Right.
And
So,
that his wife got the darshan. She got the darshan, Bhagavan immediately. Yes, so many beautiful.
So most of these things, the fear, God fearing, we are talking about not fear of God. So the entire Satyanarayana story, there is the question of fearing. And God fearing means do the right things. There is our Dharma, our Sanatana Dharma says what to do, what not to do, how to do. As long as you are there doing that, there is no problem. If you don't, well, obviously for every action there is a consequence. So it's not a question of bringing in God and He is sitting there and watching everything and punishing you, but it is an implicit thing that when we don't do things right, there are wrong things going to happen, bad things going to happen. My feeling is we have to interpret all these wonderful stories in that connection.
Some of these things, the next about when we talk about Brahman and that is within us, some of these things will further become clear, I think. Let us see. You will be the better judge on that.
Is there any other questions?
I think it's time probably.
Yeah, it's time.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your very lucid presentation. And we look forward to more presentations from you. And hope all of you can benefit from what she has to say.
Thank you.
So these are words of wisdom coming from her.
Not from me alone.
Yes, well, she is interpreting the word, we all interpret the words of God only. So please be benefited by any questions you have and getting answers and listening. thank you all for your presence. I'm
Just
really
Shanti
pleased to see
Mantra.
so many people.
She will say the last mantra.
Om